let's get into this story because this is a story that I like because I've said it. I said it's going
Okay,
to
I
happen.
heard you say that you've said it, Kristian. When?
Yeah.
What are you? You've never said that to me. When are you talking about?
Almost every show. Ask the audience about what
So
I've
you
been
thought Thunderbolts was going to do the best of any?
not do the best. No. It might do the worst out of the three. I don't know if it'll do worse than Captain America, but out of the three big releases that Marvel has coming out this year, I said it is going to be the best quality wise. Not monetarily. I think Fantastic Four will be the.
You think that this movie is going to be a better movie than Fantastic Four?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't think I've heard you say that. Maybe I have. And
I've been saying it on the show.
Agreed.
And I think that it is indeed the case because I just feel for some reason it's going to be a little different. I think they're going to focus more on the characters and not just go on the big spectacle side of things. So I do think it's going to be a pretty big movie as far as critical from fans and audiences. And it looks like I might be on the right track with that thought process because the test screening report suggests it's going to rank among Marvel's best movies. Thunderbolts is very nearly here, and a report from a recent test screening heaps praise on the movie and the century while suggesting this could ultimately rank among Marvel Studios' best releases. Thunderbolts is Marvel Studios' next movie and less than a month away from hitting theaters after Captain America Brave New World underperformed. The hope is that it might put the MCU back on the right track ahead of the Fantastic Four first steps in July. In the months leading up to Captain America Brave New World's release, we started hearing worrying test screening reports and full plot breakdowns that beyond some late post-production changes proved accurate. Now, Redditor, who gave an accurate assessment of that movie's quality before it was released in February, is back with their take on Thunderbolts. These comments are to be believed. It may ultimately rank among Marvel Studios' best blockbusters. The Redditor said this: I attended a test screening of this near Burbank around 6 weeks ago. I won't say too much, but I think you're feeling it. But I think if you're feeling jaded by the cape shit genre because they're all feeling the same, I would check this one out. The journey it takes the characters on is actually interesting. The team dynamic is great, not unlike Guardians of the Galaxy, and the way Sentry Void is executed into the story is really fascinating. I expect this one to leg out well into the following weeks after it drops. I see the tomato meter being above 90% for critics and audiences. Of course, I could be wrong, but the audience I was with seemed to love it and couldn't stop talking about it highly after the screening. There have been signs for a while that Thunderbolts might be a different kind of MCU movie, so this bodes well. It's certainly been marketed differently, though so was Cap's last adventure, and that struggled to live up to the stylish trailers. Regardless, it's become clear in recent months this isn't just Marvel's Suicide Squad, and with the Sentry confirmed for Avengers Doomsday, he's not going to be another one-off big bad. Thunderbolts, being a critical hit, won't guarantee box office success. However, it should help this follow-up to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, Black Widow, and Ant-Man and the Wasp avoid the fate which befell the Marvels and Captain America Brave New World. New poster for Thunderbolts also found its way online. Here is a closer look of that poster. Okay, there you go. You see the poster and Thunderbolts. Marvel Studios, we know all that stuff. Okay. So, Roxy, you hear this report here that this movie is amazing from this one particular person. Now, as we've said many times over, we don't have the same opinions as everybody. That's why we have different opinions. You could feel the exact opposite as this Redditor, but this Redditor also said that the people he was with seemed to really love it. What are your hopes on this movie? What do you think of this report?
Hearing that they think it's going to be above 90 for both critics and audiences, I'm curious how many comic book movies of all time are above 90 for critics and audiences. Can you think of any top of your head?
I would assume Civil War. Maybe Civil War.
Let's see. Honestly, I'm curious because that's. I try to take these things with a grain of salt because
you finish your point, and I'll look it up.
We've heard so many times from test screenings, this movie is great. And then the movie was not great. And then we've heard bad things. And then I've ended up liking movies. So you take it with a grain of salt. But obviously, of course, this gets me a little bit excited. Hearing that it would be well received by both fans and critics is really cool.
Yeah.
I love
Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's won at 90 for the tomato meter, 92 for the fans.
So this is saying that this is as good as Winter Soldier.
That's what it said.
That's what this person is claiming. I would be surprised if I love this movie as much as Winter Soldier, but That would be cool. I love this trailer, the Super Bowl trailer. I loved. Yeah, I guess this gets me optimistic, but hesitantly, you know?
Yeah. Endgame is also 94% for critics, 90 on the audience. So but it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't saying it's never been
I
done.
know. I know you're saying
Yeah.
your point is valid. The movies that I'm mentioning are some of the greats of all time.
Right.
Right. So that's what this person's saying. Like they're going to go into the 90 and 90 on both. And that you could find Marvel needs that. Marvel needs that. They haven't
That
had
would be crazy. If people walk out of this and they say this is one of the best Marvel movies of all time, that would be wild.
they need that because even Deadpool and Wolverine, which made a lot of money and people had a lot of fun with, you're not going to hear that movie discussed as a top 10, top 20 MCU movie of all time.
Maybe by some people.
Maybe by some, but not a majority. If you ask
You
the
don't think
majority,
Deadpool vs. Wolverine is top 20 MCU movie of all time discussed by anybody?
but Coy, I don't know. I don't think it's a movie. I think it's a movie that plays better in the theater, and I think it's not as
You don't think top 20?
it's like 45 movies, Rox. Maybe
Yeah, so this is lower than half to you. This
I'd
is
have to look. I'd have to look at the list again too, because I don't know if I would rank it over some of these other ones that I saw recently. It's a fun movie. There's a lot of fun stuff going on with it too. But if you're like there's certain movies that I would watch more so for the story than I would watch for the gags in Deadpool and Wolverine. But
I guess it's just
Yeah.
you're saying that this is a bottom half of the MCU movie.
maybe, all right, like maybe 15. Maybe it doesn't crack
Okay.
15.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it breaks top 10 for me, but I do think it's
Top 20.
definitely in top 20.
Okay, so let's cut here. So let's say 15. And either way,
We're on
so
the same page now, Kristian. We're cooking
There
with gas. Yeah.
So let's say that we have a potential that the Thunderbolts is going to crack into that top 15. That's exciting for Marvel. Like Marvel needs that right now because they haven't had that. What was the last? I mean, Guardians 3 is a really good movie. I actually like it better than Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, but I think I'm in the minority on that. But it's but still like a great movie. I don't know. Is it No Way Home? Right?
Yeah, I loved that movie.
Yeah. So I'm very curious. I'm very
Yeah.
curious to see.
So does this actually move the needle for you? Hearing a person say what a random Reddit user say this, does this actually change your mind about anything?
It does only because it's the same person that was accurate about Captain America, right? And said, I saw it, didn't think it would hit. Looks like it had problems, was sloppy. That's what it was. So you see a movie and you give an accurate description of what I thought. I'm like, okay, well, if I met you once and I said, well, what'd you think of that movie? And you told me what you thought of it. And then I went and saw that movie and I had to act and I felt the same exact way you did. And the next time I asked you about a movie, I was like, well, you told me last time it was not that good or it was good. And I liked it. So
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If we walk out of this and a week later, this has above 90, both places, this is going to be such a fun thing to talk about. Like,
huge.
I can't wait. I love talking about movies that we love and movies that I don't constantly feel like I'm looking for the good in and other people are shredding and it's just like so divisive. If this movie is not divisive, if just generally everyone walks out and loves this, oh my God, it makes life so much more fun.
It really does. And it gives Marvel what they need leading into Fantastic Four and Doomsday, because if this movie is great, even if it doesn't make a ton of money, and we can get into that in a second, it then sets the stage of, okay, they found their footing again. Can they follow up with Fantastic Four? And then if they follow up with Fantastic Four, because you kind of have to, because of where you're setting them into the future of the MCU, then that leads into Doomsday, which is going to have hype around it no matter what. You got to deliver on the movie when it releases, but it's going to have hype. If you can deliver with Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, you're in a great position to then put.
I mean, an insane position.
You're in a great position. Yeah, insane. Great. You're back if you can do that. And people will say, "Oh, you had a rough spot."
You said something that I want to question a little bit.
Sure.
Do you think that this movie could have above 90 on Rotten Tomatoes for critics and audience and not perform financially?
Yes, because there's tons of movies that are like that. Because
Tons of Marvel movies like that?
not Marvel movies per se, but the reason it's not tracking at a number. I don't think it'll fail. I think that, but it doesn't have the same awareness of other Marvel properties, and unfortunately, they're not in a position that they were in when Guardians came out in 2014. They were firing at all cylinders. Everybody's like, okay, I'm invested in the storyline. I want to see it. There was no fatigue from that stuff. There was no really bad things coming out from Marvel. But now they're following. People are just like, oh, another Marvel movie. Okay. But there are people who are invested in it. It's word of mouth that's going to help this movie. But the only thing that now that I am like, I don't know how much I trust tracking. Minecraft was tracking at $55 million.
Yeah.
It made $150 million opening weekend domestically. Made over 300 million. So,
I'm going to go out and say if this movie gets above 90 on both the tomato meter and the audience score, then there is no way that this movie doesn't financially do gangbusters.
What's gangbusters? What do you think opening weekend?
What's the budget?
I can look. Let me see. I don't know if they listed it.
And the reason, and I completely agree with you, Kristian, there's tons of movies that have above 90% that didn't financially perform. Indie movies, there's a lot of art house movies that are some of the most beautiful movies you've ever seen that anybody who did see them loves it, but they don't financially perform at all.
Yeah, about 200 million. 200 million is the budget. Rumored to be about around that.
I would say if this does 700, it did gangbusters.
Sure, that's a great number.
So,
what about opening weekend though? What do you think it does opening weekend?
Well, I don't know, because that's what it takes to get the 90% on audience score. So it's like, that's a harder one. I think it will have like an uptick after that if it's that good.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. The only problem is that it's in May and we're going to start getting into, the heavy hitters are going to start to come to play.
Yeah.
So you're going to have, first of all, The Accountant 2 in its second week. And from what I hear, that movie's awesome. So
yeah, I'm so excited, man.
Yeah. So Thunderbolts comes out May 2nd. The following weekend is nothing. They don't really have A Clown in a Cornfield, Flight, Juliet and Romeo. Okay. That's where you need to make your week 2 money. You got to make that money week 2, because on May 16th, and even look, they're actually in a good position here, Roxy, because even May 16th, you got Final Destination Bloodline that's coming out. The hardcore fans will come out, but if the big blockbuster fans still want to go see a movie, well, then Thunderbolts is your play still. It's not until May 23rd. If they don't make their money by May 23rd, they're going to be in trouble, because they're going to start getting hit pretty hard by their own crew with Lilo and Stitch.
So if this does well, if people like this the first weekend, it has 2 more weekends to do gangbusters. Right. I'm not saying I think this movie is going to make that much money. I'm saying if it is as good as this person says,
then it has an opportunity to. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Which would be so great for Marvel.
The drop off needs to be not massive. It needs. They need. I think the movie will do around 75 million opening weekend. And I think that it needs to.
And if it does 100, do you think that means that this is going to absolutely annihilate?
It'll be a nice surprise hit for them.
Okay.
And they'll be able to go like this. If they can make 100 on their opening weekend on Thunderbolts, that's a good number for them. I think 75 is a good number for them.
Yeah, it is.
But what they need if they do 75, they need to do around 40 on week 2.
If for some reason we have the press screenings,
and
movie does not perform, this movie is sitting at Rotten Tomatoes in the 60s or maybe even the 50s. How badly do you think that this could do? What do you think is the least money that this movie might make
opening weekend?
Yeah,
50 to 55. I think it's on track. I think that's what's on track to do, and I think it'll hit that.
Okay.
I think it's on track to hit that number, and I don't think it'll go lower than
less than that.
I think it'll go higher. I think it'll ultimately do more than that. But I don't think it'll go lower than that, because there have been movies that have been tracking at huge numbers and then have failed. Look at Joker 2.
Yeah.
Joker 2 was tracking like an astronomical number, and then they way underperformed because people like PU. So this could be the exact opposite. This could be the exact opposite because the critics are raving about it. And maybe like, oh, I wasn't even expecting to see it. Maybe I'll go check it out now if there are those early screenings. And one of the things that I think has been beneficial, as much as you and I don't like it, I think having influencers at these things sometimes does bring awareness to these movies.
100%, especially
And,
to Gen Z. It's
uh,
not that I don't have issue with influencers being at the movies. It's influencers not preparing to ask questions to
correct,
the cast that
correct,
I'm like squeezing my eyeballs out
right.
about.
Or the stupid jokes that they do and
The
stuff.
jokes, the
Yeah,
trickery, like,
right.
I'm not one of those people who's gatekeepy about these things. There was a time when I was having a hard time. I still have a hard time getting into these
Right.
screenings sometimes, and I've been doing this for a long time. I think that it's cool to let in the younger gen, and it's cool that the way that they communicate is via TikTok and Snapchat.
Yeah,
I sound so old right now, but you know what I mean.
sure.
I just don't like anyone who doesn't prepare for their job.
I
I don't
understand.
like anybody who doesn't
Yeah.
do that. And
Right.
so
Doesn't
when
matter
you're
who it
sitting
is.
there and you're saying, "So what's it like to be an actor in this? You
Right.
didn't prepare for your job." And I'm so tired of watching interviews where we could be watching somebody like you interview an A-list star, and instead I'm watching Gina Schmina, who is like
She's awesome. Love you.
planting the fart machine underneath, like, "Ha ha ha." And I'm like, I actually hate everyone.
You're starting to speak my language here. But I will tell you that I do think that I understand why they do it for the marketing side of it. And if you get those people to get out there, make more people aware of it, and then there's other more legit people who you trust in their opinions of the movie itself, as opposed to just the marketing. Because influencers are there to market it. You're not really there to listen to their opinion on it. They're there to market it. And if they get the word out there and the awareness of it, and then you look at the critics that you trust, and those critics say this is a really great movie. This really is a great movie. That could benefit the movie, obviously, and boost up that potential 55 to that 75. And I am not going to ever say, well, tracking is what it says 55. That's what it's doing. I mean, Minecraft said, F you. I
Did
can't.
you see that movie?
I did.
How was it?
It was over my head in the same way like that Mario Brothers was not over my head. I caught all the references in Mario. I caught all that stuff. If you're a Minecraft fan, I think you're gonna enjoy because there's so many different references apparently and things. I mean, the crowds were going nuts for these things.
So Minecraft fans are loving it?
That's what it seems like.
Cool.
And I mean, $300 million worldwide certainly seems like you can't do $300 million worldwide. And the fan base, most of the fan base that's seeing it is having fun with it. So that movie, you're not going to see a big drop off. You're going to see an opposite. You're not going to see a big drop off with that movie in week 2 because it's the only game in town to bring kids to. It's the only game in town right now to bring kids to. And that is another reason why it's doing so well is because kids have something to go to the movies to see. Massive.
How happy are you that your kid doesn't have a broken wrist?
I know. You got it, and she made the team. Did I tell you that?
No!
She made the team. Yeah. Isn't that great?
That is, as a parent, you must have like flipped. How did she tell you?
Well, they tricked me again, and they said that she got cut, and I was like, okay, we'll sign you up for another league. You don't worry about it. You just try harder next time. She's like, psych. I was like, you sons of bitches.
I'm
And
so
again,
excited for her. Is she happy?
Super happy. She practice every day now, and she's
throwing. How often are games? Are you going to go watch?
Yeah, of course. But I don't know yet the full schedule of the games, but we took the dog. We take the dog on a walk, and she comes with me now, and she just throws the ball up and just catching it all. So it's great.
Congratulations, Vivi. That's so great.
You got to stop, man. You got to stop.
What?
In the comments, it's like, look, and I'm gonna double down on this, and then we're gonna go to the next thing. The reason that Minecraft did so well is the main reason is because they marketed to the fans who loved this from the fans who were 8 years old when it came out to are now 25, 30, whatever they are. And those fans love it. The adults who have seen it love it. But they marketed this movie to a young audience because if you can get a young audience
What happened in the chat? Why are you upset?
It's the same comment over and 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 over again. But
okay, wait. Speaking of comments, everybody who wants to know, look, I didn't cut my hair. It's here.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
So, yes, it was marketed for children, and children went out and saw this movie, and families went out and saw this movie, and it crushed because of that. So, what do you guys think? Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Minecraft? What do you think? But as far as Thunderbolts go, is Thunderbolts going to be the major critical hit that has been rumored? What do you think? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know.